people about PT for
Yeah. You've had for a long time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
No, actually, my grandma had a stroke.
Who was that?
That's me. I don't know why that video is on, but I'm going to try and figure out how to turn it off.
No problem. Hey, Kristen, out of curiosity, what was the result of the conversation you had with that attorney within your office that was looking to get business from you and all of your agents? I didn't forget you.
Well, let's just say that there's a long story to all that right now. And going to because they're handling a file for me, saying to the attorney last week that if I had talked to an agent when I was in title, the way his staff talked to me last Monday, I would have lost my job.
Wow.
So we're at a little bit of a standstill, which is fine because I'm going on vacation next week. So we'll let everybody have 2 weeks to kind of calm down their emotions because there's some big emotions going on right now.
It's interesting you say that, primarily because from my perspective, I make the assumption, capital ASS. I make the assumption that you doing a great job, honoring your word, answering the phone, being happy, making my customer happy. We need to discuss that. I need to teach that to you. I make that assumption, right? So, and it may be a poor assumption on my part, as you're clearly giving us an example here that, hey, Paulie, I'm going to get this attorney to become one of my board members and my partners. But wait a second, he speaks poorly to my customers. Well, he doesn't even have the opportunity to become a partner.
It wasn't the attorney, it was his staff, his paralegals. So that makes me rethink because of course they're going to be an extension of my business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm taking a pause on all of that because I need to make sure that this is the person that I want to go forward with.
Yes. And that's wonderful. And that it does speak to what I'm teaching because I don't ever talk about that. Because to me, that's almost at a level that is so fundamental that I don't even necessarily bring it up. So here I am saying, go create these partnerships. Oh, but wait, this guy stinks at customer service. Well, still make a great partnership. No, they have to be worthy on so many levels. But what I'm looking to try to bring across to you guys is you're the CEO of a business, a corporation, or an empire. You pick which one you want to represent. Remember, from my perspective, always, we live up to the title we give ourselves. Other people are going to live up to the title we give them. Be very cognizant of that. So in professing this, we want to make sure that that particular feedback, I wish you a tremendous amount of success with that. And by any chance, when that person was speaking to your customer, was that call recorded?
No, well, so it wasn't really to my customer, it was to me. And it's all in email.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things I do teach, and then we're going to get right into the meat of this call today. One of the things that I talk about quite frequently is think about this as let's do this here. You know, I have these things handy everywhere I go, so we'll just pop this up real fast. If you're seeing anything on the top right of your screen that says view, it's speaker view, and then this will become the entire screen. So let me talk about that for a quick second, then we're going to get right into it. So if you think about this, do you believe a professional athlete performs at a higher level with a coach or without? The answer with everybody I've ever talked to is yes, obviously. That makes perfect sense, Paul. And then all I do is I take out athlete and I put the word real estate agent in there. So it's the exact same thing. So everything that we're doing now, if you watch professional athletes, what do? They watch film. They watch a performance of themselves. They watch a performance of the competitor. They prepare for Sunday's game. How do they do that? Well, one of those things is watching film. Hours of watching film. So my question to all of you is this: when was the last time you watched film of yourself? Think about that. Now, I'm a perspective coach. My perspective serves me. It might serve you, but if this message makes sense, then why wouldn't we do what professional athletes and actresses do? Why? What's the distinction? Because we use the word professional. So if we believe a professional athlete, actress, actor, whomever that is, if they perform at a higher level with a coach, why don't we? Well, let's do some of the things that they do. How about we watch film? And I tell everybody all the time, Daryl knows this from my private coaching, record the call. I need to hear what you said and what they said. We need to hear the tenor, the cadence. We need to hear all of that stuff. It just makes sense because that's what professionals do. So why aren't we? So if you think about that for a second, when you're about to have this conversation with that attorney or this client or whomever, it would make sense if it was recorded and then you play it back with someone that can help you decipher the recording. It doesn't make sense for us to do what? Self-discover? That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. If you could fix it, you wouldn't have done it. But how do you know it's even broken unless somebody else identifies that? And I'm not saying broken in the sense of that's terrible. I'm saying if we use this word instead of that word, would that have created a different sense of urgency? That's some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. But this is very important that I share this with you guys. I always have this up on my wall to put it in perspective that we're supposed to be treating ourselves as professionals. Now, the question that caught my attention in the Facebook group from Michael, who's not here, but we're still going to do this because it'll be recorded, is this. How do you overcome at a listing appointment, the seller saying to you, what is my house worth? What do you want to list the house at? How much can I sell this house for? 3 other real estate agents told me this is the number. How do we overcome that? I didn't read any of the comments because I don't want to be jaded in my thought process. So I have a very specific way that I approach everything. Doesn't mean that it's right. Again, my perspective serves me. So the question is, what app do I use to record the call? Listen, gang, do me a big favor. Anytime you have something, I have a hard time reading chats and talking, throws me off my game. So here's what I'll do on the phone. I'm going to show it to everybody. You see right there in the corner, I'm pointing to it. Tape a Call Pro. You see it? You don't have to use this one. I don't make any money from it. But I'm going to show you what happens when I open it. You ready? Tape a Call Pro. We're going to tap on it. And at there, you'll just see all of my recordings. There are hundreds of them. I record everything. I go back and listen to my own recordings.
And so,
Why?
so
He's a
Paul,
narcissist. No, I'm not a narcissist. Oh, go ahead, Linda. I'm sorry.
yeah, okay. So you open tape a call, and then do you put the person's phone number in? Like, just, yeah, do the next step there.
Sure. So let me go back. Hold on one second.
Or do you open that up after you've called someone?
No. So if I'm about to call Linda, let's do it again.
Yeah.
I'm going to open it up. I hit Tape a Call Pro. Oh, where am I here? So I open it up. At the bottom, it says, see the record button?
Yeah.
The red button?
Yeah.
I hit it. It gives me
Okay.
options.
Okay.
It says outgoing call. I click it. I put your phone number in, or I go to my contacts and it'll call you. And it's recording.
Okay.
That's it. And then it goes in there, and then I'll go back and I'll title it if I want to use it for training. Now, follow your state's laws. I don't know what they are. I record everything. I'm not mass producing it. I'm not sending it out to anybody. I'm not giving it to anybody. It's for me. It's for our training purposes. I've said this to you guys before. When Daryl had a magnificent board of directors call with a financial advisor and a probate attorney, it's recorded. But I can't send that out. It's for training purposes only. So that's for Daryl and Paul, the financial advisor and the probate attorney. It's recorded, gang. The board meeting is recorded. You can go back and reflect. We can review. We can see what we need to improve. We can see what was missed. Incredibly important. So my point to you, going back to that original thing I posted up there, if professional athletes and actresses would benefit from that, why wouldn't you? Well, the answer is you would. So then the next question is, why aren't you doing it? Well, that's the mystery, right? So then after you record it, you give it to somebody who's theoretically better than you to decipher the call. We got to get past ourselves, get past our ego. So with that being said, we're going on our listing appointment. First thing is first, right? I would record it. Now, it wouldn't be Tape a Call Pro. It would just be on your phone, voice recordings. Hit it, put it in your purse, put it in your pocket, put the phone down next to you. It records everything. And then you go back and we listen. We do it together. If you want to do it, great. If you don't, that's okay. But again, my point to you is, how are you going to make improvements if you don't go back and watch your performance? Listen, pay attention. That just to me is obvious. It might not be to everybody else. That's okay. But I'm encouraging you to do that. Now let's take a look at this listing appointment thing. I can peel this back 27 ways this Sunday and say, okay, let's actually talk about how did you get the client? How did you communicate with the client? How did you get to their house? We can do all that kind of stuff. But this, for the sake of time, is very specific. When another agent, and I helped Lori Mangan with this, where the other agent was saying the house was worth, and we'll use this as our example, $650. What do you think you can sell the house for? So if I'm to say that to anybody on this call, please engage with us. Open forum. If I were to say, Linda, you're the agent, you're at my kitchen table, you're at my family room couch, you're in my home right now. Linda, the other agent I interviewed said they could sell my house for $650. Linda, what do you think you can sell my house for? You would say,
I don't know where have I seen the house. I assume that I've come there with, I assume that I've done some market research before I get there. And I would say that, and how do you, I think I would ask a question first. How do you,
what would that question be?
I would ask them, what do you think of that price? I want to see where they're coming from.
Okay.
So what do you think of that price? Do you feel like that's on target, on track with your expectations? And then it's going to take either, like, I'm going to think the house is worth either more or less. And doesn't it depend on what they are going to do in terms of the preparation of the home? Like pricing is a matter of how we prepare your home. And
Very
so,
interesting.
um, it's things like what upgrades are we looking at, the painting and the landscape, some of those cosmetic features, what repairs need to be made when we do the home inspection. We're going to find out what sort of repairs need to be made. And in our market here in Seattle, very well prepared homes sell at a higher price than less prepared homes. And so we want to talk about what we would do to prepare your home and the time frame that we're working with. If we're looking to put it on the market in 6 months, we've got plenty of time for you to do these various preparations inside the home, outside the home, and those may cost you some money, but generally speaking, a well-staged home will get from 5 to 10% more value than an unprepared home. So
Linda,
do you want
this
me
is
to keep
very
talking?
interesting. No, let's do this, right? I love this. Thank you so much for volunteering. They never volunteer. Also, I have to pick everybody, right? But here's the thought process. Thank you for that. Thank you for the courage. Thank you for bringing all that to my attention. Here's my question now. Gang, this is what I would do in the private coaching part of it. I would play that recording back for Linda. And I would say, Linda, I want you to diagnose your performance. And then I'll come in with my diagnosis. The reason I would do that is because here's what I pulled from the call. And I'm saying this with respect and love. This is not to hurt anybody. This is to elevate everybody. I would assume, you tell me otherwise, that price is one of the components of the sale or the communication or the performance with the client. We're going to make that assumption. It's definitely one, if not one of the more important things. I would also want to believe that we would be very prepared for that because we know it's coming. Linda, do you believe that you were very prepared for that question? Linda.
Well,
Let me do that.
kind of. It did
Okay.
that. I was not flowing out of, I was not in flow.
Okay, excellent. Now, I would go further with the critique, but let me share this with everybody on this call. Again, let's go back to the professional athlete concept. If you're not ready to go on that field on Sunday, you're not going on the field. Paul Conte says, if you're not ready for this Broadway performance, you're not going on the appointment. Gang, listen, I'm not your father. I'm just the guy trying to help you make some money. But through that evaluation, you're going to get hurt on Sunday. You're going to get hurt on that appointment. And you're going to come back and say, why didn't they pick me? Why didn't they like what I said? And I'm going to go back and say, let's listen to the call. Do you believe that was a Broadway performance? No. You got your answer. You don't need to wonder. I'll also say this to you, and you guys can tell me your thoughts as well. You have a speech tick. You say very frequently. Now, you wouldn't know that unless somebody is reviewing the call with you. Now, I want all of you to count how many times I say during a 30-minute call. I bet you it'll be 0. Why is that? Because when I listen to recordings of my beginning stages of calling, communication, performance, I would have somebody help me catch any ticks that my ear doesn't hear. Gang, you have things coming out of your mouth you're not even hearing. The reason is we've had nobody critique our performance. So it became part of who you are without identifying that's a speech tick. Great performers and great singers do not have speech tics. They've been eliminated from their vocabulary. Why? They're watching film. And I have people come back and watch film and I say, here's what I want you to do. Write this down. And I want you to put a line next to every time you hear it. Do you know when we go back and listen to the call, they even miss some of the ums because their ear didn't hear it, but I didn't, because that's all I hear. It's fingernails on a chalkboard for me. It doesn't mean I'm right, gang. But you tell me, when you start to pay attention to this, that's all you hear. The message gets lost. It doesn't mean that people are going to be hearing that, but it's part of you becoming an exceptional performer. If you believe having speech tics helps you perform, keep them in. But after you listen to a couple calls, you will not. It's my 20 years of experience speaking to you guys. Now, with that being considered, again, I'm saying this to assist you. With that being considered, there was also a lack of confidence for me. A lack of confidence. Where is she going? She's pulling so many different strings. I don't know the direction that she is taking right now. It's just an observation. Now, if the client pulls one of those strings, let's see what that result is. In other words, when you say, Paul, are you happy with that price? Linda, I want the highest number I can get. So what do you think you can sell this house for? Happy is relative. I want the highest number I can get. Linda, I appreciate the fact you're going to stay on mute. It's probably a safe place to be. Cindy, you have plenty of experience. What are your thoughts, please? I don't normally see you in the couch position. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, my back is hurting me.
Oh, okay.
And I'm in New York at my daughter's appointment. So I guess my approach would be, based on the information that I have pulled, market data, sales of homes, just trends in the market, I think that $625 is a better price for your house. Or I'd probably say this. I'd say I came up between 620 and 640 for the price. And a lot of that depends on the condition of your home. And if we move forward, I would walk through and help you decide some of the things that would be best and easiest to make your home more sellable. I don't want this to be a challenge for you. I don't want it to become overwhelming, but there's always a few things you can do to make your home more presentable. So we can walk through and have that conversation.
Very different angle. Wow. So let me ask you that. Very good. Sim, thank you. So let me ask you guys this now. First of all, let's identify something. I didn't catch any speech tics. I didn't necessarily catch hesitation. She deviated twice, but I wouldn't say that of hesitation. She pulled back and said, well, let me talk about this. And so a little bit more refined. Can we agree with that? Is that fair? Right? But this is the part that people aren't doing. Go back and watch film, for goodness sake. How could you possibly get on that stage? With that being considered, let me share something with you. My perspective, for what it's worth. I do it every time before this and every single call. Michael, this is in response today to your Facebook post about how do you get past a price that another agent told the borrower their house can sell for when you believe that that is too high or not realistic. Let me share this with you guys. Peeling this way back. How did you prepare for this performance? Let me share this with you. I'm going to tell you a story first. Remember, context always more important than content. What is the content? I want to get this listing. What's the context? The story. You have to have the story prior to the content, the listing appointment. Here's the story. I'll share it with you. Very personal story. How I met my wife. I was failing out of schools. I'm not a good student by any means. And I was kind of avoiding life, if you will. And I was just hiding in school, failing out of one school to another. I ended up going to another local community college. I'm in an accounting class. What is Paul Conti doing in an accounting class? Nobody knows, right? I'm in an accounting class. I show up one day for class, ill prepared as usual. And the professor says, clear your desk, we're having our test today. I'm like, oh my Lord, what did he just say? Test? Huh. Here goes again. There was a girl that sat diagonally in front of me, very pretty girl. I'm kind of turned on. I'm like, check this chick out. Oh, yeah, right. And I said to her, tapping on her shoulder, did not know her name, never met her, nor talked to her. She was someone that takes her test like this, covering everything up. And I said to her, hey, I'm really sorry. I'm not prepared for this. Could you help me out with this? Can I look up your answers? What? This is a true story, right? Paul's just a cheater. I'm being candid with you guys. Long and short, that's how I met Jennifer 35 years later. We're still together, wonderfully, successfully married in spite of me. But my point is this. She lets me do that. And I can go into the greater details of how we all got together, et cetera. But that was the story. I was moved. I was excited. This girl was pretty, viscerally charged. I want to meet with her, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My question to all of you is this. Look back when you met your significant other. On what date did you ask to see their credit report? On what date did you ask to see their W-2 or their financial portfolio? I need you to grasp this concept. Paulie, where's this story going? Well, I got news for you. You start to get immersed in the story because it's a funny story. So you're thinking about the story, and then I make it relatable to your husband and or wife. Your brain has gone down a different path. This has everything to do with the listing price, and yet nothing to do with the listing price. Why? How is that? What I teach is universal. It's how our brain makes a decision. I don't care if it's buying a pen, a cigarette, a car, or real estate. It is immaterial. We must learn how we make decisions and then apply X, whatever that is. My point to all of you is this. 55% of marriages fail in divorce because of the number one reason, money. And yet, we don't talk about that when we're dating. Interesting, isn't it? Why, if we just look at the data, as Cindy indicated about your house, if we just look at the data, we will make a rational decision. I agree, but I disagree because love trumps rational thought. When I found out 6 months later that Jennifer has $30,000 in Victoria's Secret credit card debt. Oh my gosh. What did I do? Did I break up with her? No. You know what I said? Sweetheart, don't worry about that. I love you. We'll work through this together. What? Let me make it clear because she overhears us in another room. She didn't have $30,000 in Victoria's Secret credit card debt. I'm making a point with you guys. We were broke kids in college. We had no money. But my point is this. Understand something. Love prevails. So now let me go back and ask all of you this question. Do you believe we make decisions based on feelings or facts? Anybody?
Feelings for sure.
Feelings. And yet, as agents, we want to show up with the facts. Think about what you're saying. Our brain doesn't make a decision like that, but you're going to forcibly try and make the brain to make a decision like that. I'm confused. There's a conflict. You just told me feelings, but you're presenting facts. It's a conflict. And we wonder why sometimes we struggle, because you're struggling against how the brain makes a decision. Think about, now again, we don't think about it because no coach got into our ear and said, okay, let's just slowly talk through the story and then apply it to whatever it is that we're communicating or selling. With that being considered, how do we get somebody to fall in love with us so that we overcome the data together?
So typically I don't talk about price until the very, very end, when I talk about all the amazing things that I can do that makes their life easier. Talk about how I really understand this is really hard. Your parents have 40 years worth of treasures in this house. And I have resources that can help you take care of it. So I hope that by the time we have the conversation about price, they've already fallen in love with me because I'm going to make their life easier. I understand what their pains are, and I'm going to coach them through the process.
Sin, I love all of that. You're 100% correct. What I'm looking to do is psychologically break that down for everybody so that you do it with strategy, not luck, not happenstance. There is a strategy with which you do that. So let's talk about the strategy I like to share. First of all, mindset. You, read it backwards, have to set your mind. Set your mind. Going to this appointment, I don't believe anything is a coincidence. I believe everything is a God incidence. So if everything's a God incidence, from my perspective, this opportunity is a gift from God, and I will treat it appropriately. You've got to get your head in the right space to present in that space. My perspective doesn't need to be yours. If you treat it like a gift, it performs like a gift. So that to me is a God incident. So I'm going all the way back before we even get into the arm wrestling match about price. Let's get our head in the right place. Performance, everything's a performance. Based on time, if I can peel through much of this, which we need to have additional calls on this because this is really powerful information, I want you to think about something right now. Who actually is the enemy? Quote unquote, big quotes. The real estate agent that gave them the fictitious number or the client's ego?
Probably their ego.
Girl, right there, right there. You believe some other realtor lied. No, they didn't. How do we know they actually don't believe or do believe they can get this number? Who are you to say that? You didn't stand in front of them. Well, we all have the same CMA. I recognize that, but you're challenging not the other realtor. You are actually attacking the seller's ego. You told somebody they're not worth what somebody else told them they are. Are you crazy? Do you believe most human beings have an emotional attachment to their home? Is that a safe assumption? Yes, Cindy. Only one person agrees. Lynn, do you agree? Okay. So if that is true and we believe that, who are we to minimize their value? You are attacking their ego, gang. You're attacking something they have pride in by trying to legitimize your value. I believe that's an enormous mistake. But let's go back a little bit. Let me ask you this question. Frankie, just out of curiosity, have you ever seen an auctioneer? The guys that go, it's $5, $5, $5, $7, $7, one go, one store, $27, $8, $12. Have you ever seen an auctioneer and what they do?
Yeah, just on TV. Yeah.
Just on TV, likewise. Is it
Yeah.
a fair assumption almost everybody on this call has experienced, seen, or heard an auctioneer? Yes?
But I did participate in an auction with FHA years ago. Not with FHA, but with a foreclosed property. So I did. It was an online auction, so I had experience with that. So.
So the same experience. Watch this, gang. Cindy is smiling. Lynn is smiling. Frankie laughed. So what did I do? What did I just do? I put your brain where I wanted it to be. And I referenced something most of us have seen. Context prior to content. So what am I doing? I'm now controlling the outcome. We all have seen what an auctioneer does. Some of it's goofy. I don't know how they talk that fast. I'm trying to mock it. Ha ha ha, we laugh. Okay. So what's the thought process behind what an auctioneer does? Think about what he or she is creating. Go ahead, Cindy.
Oh, he's just trying to create a little bit of stress and speed so people are making decisions very quickly without getting their emotions involved.
And think about this too. There's a sense of pride in winning. Yes? And what's the auctioneer trying to do? Get somebody to win by what? Rising, increasing, going up. So we all get that concept. Does it make sense to race to the bottom or rise to the top? Which one would you rather do? Race to the bottom or rise to the top? That's what an auctioneer is doing. So let's think about this. I'm your auctioneer. Gang, I just put your head in the space of identifying what an auctioneer does. Most of us on the call that are really involved and attentive smiled. Frankie laughed. I experienced that, right? I went, right. I'm your auctioneer. So you agree that it makes sense that we get people to rise up than to race down. Here's what the point I'm trying to make. What does it matter what number we set it at? My job as the auctioneer is to create everything that you told me you agree with. Get people to rise up. So if you subscribe to the concept that I just shared with you, how about we start at $1? Lynn, let's price your house at $1. What? You're crazy. I don't know, $1,000. Here, let's do this, Lynn. $1,000, $1,000. Tell me what price you want to start at, Lynn. $1,500? How about $2,000, Lynn? We want to start at $5,000? What do you want to start the bidding at, Lynn? $10,000? $20,000? Where do you want to start, Lynn? You tell me, Lynn. You're in charge, not me. Shifting ego. You're in charge, not me, Lynn. Where do you want to start the bidding so that I can auction this sucker up? What would get you excited, Lynn? What would get you to jump out of your chair? Anybody have any thoughts?
Well, if they think it's 650, I'm going to just guess 600. 600
Let's
is a
start
great.
the bidding. Do you think 597 or 599? Which one of those two numbers excites you more to start the bidding at? You tell me. Gang, there's some data that says 7s are more popular than 9s, 9s are more popular than 7s. I haven't figured it out yet, so what do? You want to start at 597 or 599? Which one most appeals to you?
Paul, there is a lot of data that says round numbers are better psychologically. So that's why you do 600 instead of 599, for example.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. But my point about this, listen to the context. It is the story with which I've got your brain going down the path I wanted to go down. This goes all the way back to toes versus heels. Taught this before, I'll teach it again. This goes all the way back to dictation versus participation. This goes all the way back to redirecting the energy. If you are in defense of a number, you're on your heels. You can't win a game on your heels. If I'm able to redirect the energy, Sin did say earlier, I think, Lynn, I'm not 100% sure, whoever said, what price do you want, or what are you thinking about that? Are you happy about that? My question to the seller would be this: sell that to me. Whatever the number is. $650. Paulie, can you list it for higher? Let's do this. John, sell your house to me for $650. Go. I've redirected the energy. I've put them in defense. I'm in offense. They now have to defend the number. How are they going to do that? More than likely, they're not, because it's emotionally driven. More than likely, they will identify the lack of ability to sell it at $650. So when I redirect the energy, I put the onus on them instead of it being on me. Now, I'm peppering you with so many different philosophies and concepts. We need more time to do this. This is, go ahead, Lynn, I'm sorry, you're shaking your head at me.
I'm just agreeing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like all over the map now. I have no idea what to do or say.
Well, let's do this. I always say, let's pull one thing out of today's call. Here's what I'm going to share with you. Did we understand the concept of an auctioneer? Does the concept of an auctioneer make sense to you? Yes? Okay. So if the concept of an auctioneer, no, Lynn, that's okay, Lynn, thank you. The auctioneer's job is to create the frenzy, the frenetic buzz, the enthusiasm. Well, I can't do that if nobody's in the room. Meaning if I price it too high, but I don't say that. So how do I get a bunch of people in the room to then create that energy and that buzz and that enthusiasm? How do I do that? By overpricing the house or underpricing? I have to give you the control. So what I'm doing now is just sharing with you conceptually, you're trying to legitimize your number. I believe you are attacking their ego when you do that. You are making a mistake. So if we pull a couple things out of this call, auctioneer, we need to talk more about that. We need to talk more about who actually is the enemy, the other real estate agent and the number they gave, or the ego of the seller. We came to agree it's the ego of the seller. And how dare you tell me I'm worth less than what somebody else told me? I don't want to hang around with somebody that tells me I'm worth less than. Think about what you're doing in the head. You're trying to legitimize a number because you're in defense. You're not in offense, and you did not redirect the energy. So there's three things I just gave you. All of that is under the umbrella of you need to learn how to set your mind. Set your mind that this is a Broadway performance, a gift from God. I'm going to record it so I can review it, and I'm going to prepare for my performance when I meet with this client. There's four things we talked about today. It's a lot, gang, but there is, to me, there's an easy answer, but in reality, there's not, because we're working with so many different people that have been taught to legitimize. You're a professional CMA. I don't list houses, I sell them. What? What does that mean? You're offending me. This has nothing to do with that. It's unrealistic. You are legitimizing, meaning you're in defense. So when I record these calls with you and we listen to that, I would ask you, are you in defense or offense? Did you redirect the energy? Did you get them to legitimize the number? Tell me what story you told them to get them off the path they're on. You were never in control of this. So Lynn, there's a lot in this call. We can't do it in 30 minutes, but Michael had something he posted on the Facebook page. And I know that if Michael's dealing with that, and I know because I help agents all the time, there are many people dealing with that. And my argument always is, how are you prepared for that? And from my perspective, everything's up here. Everything. It's all up here. And you think it has to do with your CMA and being rational. We also talked about we make decisions on feelings, not facts. And yet you're trying to bring facts to the call. You're trying to bring facts to the client. You just told me we don't make decisions like that. Why would you do that? Because that's what I was taught. It doesn't mean that it's right, does it? I don't know. So when you really take a look at this, you're speaking to a human being. I don't care if it's real estate, cars, suits, none of that matters. The universal thing that I share with everybody are the mental mechanics of how to make decisions. And part of that is how you're making a decision to perform. That's when I go back to that sign that says, if a professional singer hires a vocal coach, shouldn't a professional communicator have a communications coach? If this call today didn't make that quite clear, and I'm not being disrespectful to anybody, I record my own stuff and listen to it quite frequently. And I even ask other people, what are your thoughts? If you heard that, what would you say or do? And I get that feedback to improve what it is that I'm doing. Why shouldn't we all be doing that? If anything, do it once, just once, record it if you've never done it before. And then say, Paulie, can you give me 10 minutes of your time? What are your thoughts about this? I'll help you. That's on me. I need to help you guys make money as fast as humanly possible. That is my intention. Frankie, could you give everybody feedback, please, on the beautiful gift you gave me this weekend with your clients looking to purchase a home? What were your thoughts about that call?
Oh, wow, we had a great call. So Paul and I jumped on. I have two senior clients that I've been working with, and they're very, I always say that they're very green because they don't, they're both first-time home buyers. The wife, she actually inherited a property from a former marriage. Her husband passed away, and she got the property. It's paid off free and clear. So they're, like I said, they're both seniors. And when Paul jumped on the call, I did just a brief introduction, and he just took it away, and he helped them to understand what the home buying process looks like and what he does from the lender aspect. And what I really like that Paul said that really stuck out to me is he said a few times that, if they do hire him and they work with him, that he would actually be there every step of the way. He broke it down so well that he put it in steps. So you'll have this step, then you'll have this step. At the end of the call, he included a text message of my clients, himself, and the lenders that they would potentially be working with. He broke down and explained to a perfect T of what the VA, if they chose to go VA, because the spouse husband, he's a former veteran. The VA reverse mortgage, what that looked like on their property that's paid off free and clear, and just gave them like a timeline or just what it looks like to go from point A to B. So it was a really, really good call. It was thorough. Paul was very confident and he knows his stuff. So I have no doubt that, if we do go this direction, that they're going to be in really good hands. So it was a great call.
Thank you, Frankie. And just for everybody, we ran a little bit long today. Think about this. Here's what I didn't talk about. Mortgages, payments, fees, interest rates. I never talked about it. It's not relevant.
Right, because he did say that they need to be to feel, be into the feeling of what they're doing, not to sit and talk about the technical side of it, about like he said, the fees, interest rates, and things like that, but just to get into the feeling of actually being a homeowner and what that looks like. So that I did miss that part where I didn't say that, but that was a very good highlight of the call.
And that's why we record it. Frankie, in the future, when we do the private stuff, we'll be listening to that call and diagnosing again. Yes. And again, the point I'm making to you guys is this. Frankie looks better because she brought me in. And we're all on the call together. I'm not taking the credit. I'm saying, wow, they left excited, confident, inspired, reported back to her. He was really great, etc. So that obviously, to Kristen's point early on, as much as I want to do business with this attorney, The representatives did a very poor job. That would be an extension of me. This is a gift from God through Frankie to help me feed my family, and I treated it accordingly. That's the difference, gang. This is not business. This is personal. There is nothing more personal than you helping me feed my family, and I act accordingly. Part of the presentation, and I believe this was a Saturday morning call that we did this. Anytime, any day, gang. It's a gift. We ran very long today. We can continue to do this either at the 11 o'clock call if you all come back, or maybe next Monday, but I've got pages of information. It's almost like a data dump, and then we pick apart what feels best for you. You start to apply what resonates with you. What can you pull off? What feels good to you? That's what you start to apply. But all of that comes down to your mental preparedness and how you're approaching this, and how we want to help the client feel differently when they speak with you. If this was only about numbers, you wouldn't be needed. It can't be about the numbers. That is a link in the chain. But in the way that you present it, creates the separation. I ran long. I apologize. This was exciting. God bless you guys. For those that are coming back at 11, I'll see you in 15 minutes. Otherwise, I'll see you all next Monday. Have a great week, gang.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, bye.